B. It says that for questions 21 to 41 indicate whether the statement is true or false. Okay, and then the first one says that all matter, including the human body, is usually or is naturally composed of chemical elements. All matter, including the human body, is naturally composed of chemical elements. I think I talked about this one earlier on. So our answer is true. All matter, including the human body, is naturally composed of chemical elements. Then again, radioactive isotopes give off energy in the form of rays and subatomic particles. This one too is true. This one too is true. So it is true that radioactive isotopes give off energy in the form of rays and subatomic particles. The next one is acids are substances which dissociate in water and release hydrogen ions. Yes, that one too is true. Acids dissociate in water and release hydrogen ions. The dissociation can be complete or very powerful, or it may not necessarily be. That's why we have strong acids and we have weak acids. Then the 24 is saying all organisms, including humans, are composed of cells. Okay, so this is one of the theories, one of the cell theories. Okay, all organisms, all living organisms are composed of cells, and human beings are parts. Then all cells come only from pre-existing cells. This one too is true. It's a cell theory. So all organisms are composed of cells, and all cells come only from pre-existing cells. Then the 26 is cells are the smallest structural and functional unit of organisms. Yes, that one too is true. The cell is the basic unit of life. And when we expand that one, we get cells are the smallest structural and functional unit of organisms. Then again, question 27 is saying that bonds which exist between atoms in molecules contain physiologically useful energy. This one too is true. Wow. So it means that most of our answers, most of our questions, or our statements here appear to be true. It says bonds which exist between atoms in molecules contain physiologically useful energy. Yeah. So to be able to get the energy which exists in bonds, the bonds need to be broken. Okay, the bonds need to be broken, and the breaking can occur through digestion, for example. So metabolism, in metabolism, bonds are broken, and then energy is released. Energy is released, and then it will become useful. So physiologically useful means that the energy, you can use it for physiological purposes. So this one too is true. Bonds which exist between atoms in molecules contain physiologically useful energy. Now 28 is saying that lipids are molecules which do not dissociate in water but are used as energy molecules. Lipids are molecules which do not dissociate in water but are used as energy molecules. This one too is true. It's true. Lipids actually do not dissociate in water. They do not dissolve in water. They do not in water, but are used as energy molecules long term. Then lipids are found in cell membranes. It is true. Remember, I talked about the phospholipids. The phospholipids, they are components of the cell membrane. So that means that lipids also play a structural role. Apart from proteins, lipids also play structural role. Then number 30, fats are usually of animal origin and are liquid at room temperature. This one is false. Remember, I indicated that the difference between fat and oil is one difference is that the fats are solid at room temperature and oils are liquid at room temperature. So the liquid here makes the sentence false. Then again, the question number 31. It says fats function as long-term energy storage. Fats function as long-term energy storage, insulation from heat loss, and cushion for organs in the body of human beings. Okay, this one too is true. So question number 31 is true. So it means that by this one, you know the function of fats. They function as long-term energy storage. They function in the area of insulation from heat loss, and then they also function as cushion for organs in the body of humans. Then question number 32 says oils are usually of plant origin and are solid at room temperature. Of course, if question 30 is false, then what do you think of 32? 32 will also be false. Why? Because oils are not solid at room temperature. Oils are not solid at room temperature. Well, yes, it is true that oils are of plant origin, usually, and it is true that fats are of animal origin. Okay, but fat is solid at room temperature and oil is liquid at room temperature. I just took some water, and that is the reason why you heard the sound that you heard. So fats are usually of animal origin and are liquid, okay, and are solid at room temperature. And then oils are usually of plant origin and are not supposed to be solid, but rather liquid at room temperature. Mm-hmm. So this sentence is false. Number 33. The structure of a steroid is 4 fused carbon rings, and examples are cholesterol and sex hormones such as estrogen and testosterone. This one too is true. Is true. So the structure of a steroid is 4 fused carbon rings. It is true. And the example is cholesterol. I think I've indicated this one earlier. Cholesterol is a steroid, and then against the sex hormones, the estrogen and testosterone are also steroids. Now, question number 34. Carbohydrate means hydrated carbon. Carbon to which water has been added. Is it true? Question number 34. Yes, it is true. So carbohydrate is like hydrated carbon to which water has been added, carbohydrates. Now, question number 35. In the human body, chains of glucose and all other monosaccharides are important. In the human body, chains of glucose and all other monosaccharides are important. Is this one true? Okay, this one is false. Why would we say this one is false? This one is false because whilst it is true that in the human body chains of glucose are important, okay, it is not all other monosaccharides are important. So the correct or true statement will be in the human body, chains of glucose are important, or only chains of glucose are important. In the human body, only chains of glucose are important. Now, number 36 is saying that in DNA, A pairs with T and G pairs with C. So in other words, in DNA, adenine pairs with thymine, and guanine pairs with cytosine. Okay, so yes, this one too is true. So question 36 is true. A pairs with T and G pairs with C. Now, question number 37. When living things reproduce, their genes are passed to the next generation. Is it true? Yes. When you and your wife or your fiancé or your husband choose to reproduce, then your genes will be passed to your offspring or your children. So it is true that when living things reproduce, their genes are passed to the next generation. Now, question number 38 is sometimes living things inherit characteristics or traits which allow them to be more suited to their way of life. Sometimes living things inherit characteristics or traits which allow them to be more suited to their environment. Is this true or false? It is true. It is true. Okay, what if the word sometimes is replaced with all the time? Then it would have been false, because sometimes organisms inherit traits or characteristics which actually do not allow them to be more suited to their way of life. So there's the expression sometimes living things inherit characteristics or traits which allow them to be more suited to their way of life is true. Now, question number 39 is saying that random combination of egg and sperm ensure that the new individual has new and different characteristics. Okay, random combination of egg and sperm ensure that the new individual, the offspring, has a new and different characteristics. This one is also true. It is also true. And I hope you can explain that one, right? The random combination of egg and sperm ensure that the new individual has a new and different characteristics. Remember, the kind of genes that you carry may be different from that of your life partner. Okay, and in actual fact, you don't choose which sperm should fertilize the egg. Which sperm should fertilize an egg. It is something that occurs at random, and because of that one, you can say that for sure I'm going to pass on this kind of trait or something like that. And then again, because the new individual will have different genes, okay, one from the mother and one from the father. That's when we are talking about sexually reproducing organisms. Okay, what will happen is that the new individual will be different, and it's such that sometimes the environmental condition, which may be harsh and unsuited for the parents, may be suitable for the offspring because it will have different characteristics, or it may have different characteristics. Now, question number 40. Each egg and sperm contain a unique collection of genes. So each egg and each sperm has have a unique collection of genes. This one too is true. Is true. Then question number 40. The DNA of organisms over time also undergoes mutation or changes which may be passed on to the next generation. The DNA of organisms over time also undergoes mutations or changes which may be passed on to the next generation. This one too is true. We need to be mindful of our lifestyle. For example, we can acquire mutation and then we'll pass them on to the next generation, and that mutation may not really be a favorable one. And so our offspring may not survive, like probably the way we survive. For example, it is possible that people or generation who may not have gene for diabetes or let's say the sickle cell trait, but allow themselves to be, let's say, bitten by mosquitoes, and get infected with a lot of parasites running in their blood often, or maybe depending on their lifestyle, the kind of things that they consume, they can develop the mutation for diabetes and then pass it on to the next generation. So that generation may suffer. So DNA of organisms over time undergoes mutational changes, and those changes may be passed on to the next generation. So as we live, we should not live only for ourselves. We should also live for the next generation. Our choices should be something that will favor them. Now, for questions 42 to 77, indicate the right terminology for each statement. So we have sentences here, and we are supposed to use certain terminologies to designate or represent the statement. So the first one is all of the chemical reactions which occur in a cell during growth and repair. All of the chemical reactions which occur in a cell during growth and repair. This one, what terminology can you use to represent this one? I would say metabolism. 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 So metabolism refers to all of the chemical reactions which occur in a cell during growth and repair. Then question number 43. Changes which occur among members of a species, including the Homo sapiens, with the passage of time, often resulting in increased adaptation to the prevailing environment. Changes which occur among members of a species, including the Homo sapiens, with the passage of time, often resulting in increased adaptation to the environment. What terminology can you use for this one? I will say evolution. Evolution. So it means that we can afford to define evolution as referring to changes which occur among members of a species, okay, with the passage of time, and are often probably leading to increased adaptation to the prevailing environment. Evolution. Evolution. So changes which occur among members of a species, including with the humans, with the passage of time, and often resulting in increased adaptation to the prevailing environment is evolution. Evolution. Now, something contains how specific information for how the living organism is to be ordered. So what contains how specific information for how the living organism is to be ordered? The genes. Okay, the genes. The genes. The genes. The genes. So your genes as an individual contains how specific information let me look at the sentence well. Contains how specific information for how the living organism is to be ordered. Yes. So the gene contains how specific information. Okay. No. It's supposed to be this. Okay. The genes contains specific information for how the living organism is to be ordered. So the sentence is contains specific information for how the living organism is to be ordered. So the genes contain specific information for how the living organism is to be ordered. Now, question 45. Okay, so I think this one is supposed to also be, they are made up of long molecules of deoxyribonucleic acids. They are made up of long molecules of deoxyribonucleic acid. So what are made up of that one? Genes. Okay, so genes are genes are made up of long molecules of deoxyribonucleic acids. Genes are made up of long molecules of deoxyribonucleic acids. Now, question number 46. A molecule which has a shape which resembles a spiral staircase with millions of steps. A molecule which has a shape which resembles a spiral staircase with millions of steps. What kind of molecule is that? Okay, DNA. Or you can also write deoxyribonucleic acid. Deoxyribonucleic acid. Deoxyribonucleic acid. DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. They said a molecule, so it has to be singular. Now, or something is housed within a spiral staircase in the molecule. Okay, so I think this one is a follow-up on the next question. So let's see. The question 46 is a molecule which has a shape which resembles a spiral staircase with millions of steps. Okay, and then this one says housed within a spiral staircase in the molecule in question 46 and is shared by all living things, including human beings. So what is housed within a spiral case, a spiral staircase in DNA and is shared by all living things, including the human beings? Let me repeat it again. Okay, what is housed within a spiral staircase in the DNA and is shared by all living things, including the human being? What do you think should be your answer? It should be the genetic code. Say the genetic code. The genetic code. So the genetic code is something that is housed within a spiral staircase in the DNA and is shared by all living things, including human beings. Now, there's another one. Let me take some water. Sorry. The modifications which make living organisms, including human beings, better able to function in a particular environment. Modifications which make living organisms, including human beings, better able to function in a particular environment. What name will you give to such modification? You will refer to it as adaptation. Adaptation. And it is a characteristic feature of all living things. Remember, all living organisms undergo adaptation. They undergo homeostasis. They undergo metabolism. They are sensitive. They reproduce. They grow, and they are organized. Okay, so these are 7 major characteristics of living organisms. So adaptation is one of them. And adaptation actually refers to modifications which make living organisms, including we the human beings, better able to function in a particular environment. Now, question number 49. Question number 49 says, the process which constantly reshapes the species of organisms, including humans, providing a way for living organisms to persist despite a changing environment. This one is a definition for evolution. 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 So evolution refers to the process which constantly reshapes the species of organisms, including humans, providing a way for living organisms to persist despite a changing environment. Then again, there's another one, number 50, says the process which includes the way in which populations of organisms change over the course of many generations to become more suited to their environment. What do you think this one too is? The process which includes the way in which populations of organisms change over the course of many generations to become more suited to their environment. This one too is evolution. 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 Now, 51. It says, bond in which the sharing of electrons between atoms is unequal. Okay, so bond in which the sharing of electrons between atoms is unequal. This one is polar covalent bond. Polar covalent bond. So remember, we have polar and nonpolar. If the sharing of the electrons between atoms is equal, then we have nonpolar covalent bond. If it is unequal, then polarization is there. So we talk about polar covalent bond. Polar covalent bond. And I give water as an example of polar covalent bond. Now, question number 52. Charged particle which carries a negative or positive charge or charges. What is it? It is an ion. All right. So an ion is a charged particle which carries a negative or positive charge. So when it carries a negative charge, it is called a cation. And when it carries a positive charge, it is an anion. So we have two types of ions. Okay, we have the cation and anion. So negative anion, positive cation. Negative anion, positive cation. And the cation is plus, anion is minus. Now, question number 53. Question number 53. Molecules tending to raise the hydrogen ion concentration in a solution and to lower its pH numerically. Okay. If you have a molecule which tend to raise the hydrogen ion concentration in a solution, and to also lower its pH numerically, what kind of molecule is this? You will say it is an acid. All right, it is an acid. In other words, if that molecule lowers the hydrogen ion concentration, okay, and then it increases its pH numerically, then what will you say? Anyway, our right answer here is acid. Molecules which tend to raise the hydrogen ion concentration in a solution and to lower its pH numerically is an acid. An acid. Then number 54, class of organic compounds which include monosaccharides, disaccharides, and polysaccharides. This one is carbohydrate. 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 So, class of organic molecules or class of organic compounds which include monosaccharides, disaccharides, and polysaccharides. That class is called carbohydrates. Then class of organic compounds which tend to be soluble in non-polar solvents such as alcohol, but soluble in water, which is a polar solvent. What is it? Okay, that one is lipid. So a lipid is a class of organic compounds which tend to be soluble in non-polar solvents like alcohol, but is but soluble in water. So it's supposed to be insoluble in water, please. So lipid, they tend to be soluble in non-polar solvents such as alcohol, but insoluble in water, which is a and a polar solvent. That's lipid. So take note of the definition. Then the next one is number 56 is biomolecules consisting of covalently bonded monomers. Okay, biomolecules consisting of covalently bonded monomers. What name will you give to all of them? You will refer to them as being polymer. 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 So a polymer is a biomolecule, or refers to biomolecules consisting of covalently bonded monomers. Now, what about question number 57? Question number 57, it says molecules which have the same molecular formula but a different structure and therefore shape. Molecules which have the same molecular formula but a different structure and therefore shape. You refer to this one as isomer. Okay, isomer. So isomer refers to molecules which have the same molecular formula with a different structure and therefore shape. Now 58. Two or more amino acids joined together by covalent bonding. Two or more amino acids joined together by covalent bonding. What name will you give to such a thing? You will refer to it as peptide. 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 So, for those who have written an exams like this, if you really choose peptide, if you wrote peptide, you were right. Two or more amino acids joined together by covalent bonding. You can refer to such a thing as peptide. So peptide consists of two or more amino acids joined together by covalent bonding. Now, question number 59. Question number 59. Organelles which consist of circles and vesicles and processes, packages, and distributes molecules about and from the cell. This one, circles. You remember Golgi apparatus, or maybe Golgi bodies, Golgi apparatus, or maybe we want to say Golgi apparatus. They are organelles which consist of circles and vesicles and processes, packages, and distribute molecules about and from the cell. They are like a stack of pancake. Now, question number 60. There is something that is particularly active in lipid metabolism and always produces hydrogen peroxide. What is that? Okay, this one's like a riddle. There's something that is particularly active in lipid metabolism. There's something that is particularly active in lipid metabolism and always produces hydrogen peroxide. What will you refer to such a thing? You refer to it as peroxisomes. All right. Peroxisomes are particularly active in lipid metabolism and always produces. Okay, so let's make it peroxisome, because always produce. Or the question is always produces hydrogen peroxide, so it's peroxisome. Okay, so peroxisome is particularly active in lipid metabolism and always produces hydrogen peroxide. Peroxisome. So peroxisomes. The peroxisome. Peroxisome. Then I think the zomes. You know of lysosome. Okay, lysosomes, and you know of peroxisomes, lysosomes and peroxisomes. I don't know if you can compare and contrast lysosomes and peroxisomes. You can use where they are produced, and then maybe the kind of function that they or the kind of role that they play, to be able to compare and contrast. For example, all of them really includes enzymes, and so they are involved in digestion activities. But where are they produced? Okay, you can use that one as a way of differentiating between them. Question number 61. Dark staining spherical body in the cell nucleus which produces ribosomal subunits. Dark staining spherical body in the cell nucleus which produces ribosomal subunits. What name will you give to this one? You may refer to this one as nucleolus. 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 Now, question number 62. Internal framework of the cell, which consists of microtubules, actin filaments, and intermediate filaments. Internal framework of the cell, which consists of microtubules, actin filaments, and intermediate filaments. What name will you give to that one? You may refer to that one, or you will refer to that one as cytoskeleton. Cytoskeleton. And you'll be right. So the cytoskeleton, okay, refers to the internal framework of the cell, which consists of microtubules, actin filaments, and intermediate filaments. Number 63. The smallest part of a compound which still has the properties of that compound. The smallest part of a compound which still has the properties of that compound. Probably we'll refer to that one as molecule. Molecule. And then number 64. A chemical or a combination of chemicals which maintains a constant pH upon the addition of small amount of acid or base. Remember we talked about the buffer, the buffer, and we made mention of carbonic acid and bicarbonate ion and the role they play in maintaining the pH of the blood at a certain optimal level, so humans will not suffer acidosis or alkalosis. Number 65. The removal of water which allows subunits to link together into larger molecules. The removal of water which allows subunits to link together into larger molecules. What kind of expression or terminology can you use for this? Probably, if it is removal, then we'll talk about dehydration, all right? Dehydration. Dehydration. If it is reaction, then we'll say dehydration reaction. Dehydration reaction. To dehydrate means to remove water. To hydrate means to add water. So when carbon is hydrated, we get carbohydrate. Number 66. The addition of water which breaks larger molecules into their subunits. Okay, so it means when you remove water, it allows subunits to link together into larger molecule. We get dehydration reaction. When we add water, okay, it can lead to breaking of larger molecules into their subunits. So that's when that happens, what do we call it? I think you would like to refer to that one as hydrolysis. 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 Breaking water. Hydrolysis. Now 67. Animal starch which is stored in skeletal muscle and liver of humans and can be broken down into glucose when needed for energy. So the animal starch, we said that it is glycogen, all right, and that starch is characteristics of plants. And the kind of starch that animals have, we call it glycogen. Glycogen. Then a unique polysaccharide which contains amino acid. A unique polysaccharide which contains amino group occur in exoskeleton and is not digestible by human beings. A unique polysaccharide which contains amino acid, like amino group. Okay, a unique polysaccharide which contains. The teacher is tired, but I think we'll finish very soon. A unique polysaccharide which contains amino group occur in exoskeletons and is not digestible by human beings. What name can you use for that one? We'll refer to that one as chitin. Chitin. So this one glycogen, okay, and this one is chitin. Chitin polysaccharide, and exoskeleton. So you can find it in insects, for example. Then number 69, a polysaccharide which forms straight chains bonded together by hydrogen bonds. Unlike ruminants, humans cannot digest it, but it adds bulk to human diet. What name or terminology can you use for this one? We will refer to it as cellulose. Cellulose. So cellulose is actually a polysaccharide like the chitin. It forms straight chains, and the chains are bonded together by hydrogen bonds. And unlike ruminants, which are able to digest, human beings cannot digest them. But for human beings, it forms or it adds bulk to the diet. Now, question number 70. Lipids are made of one glycerol and 3 fatty acids. Okay, so lipids. So I think we should say that lipids made of one glycerol and 3 fatty acids. If it is 3 fatty acids and 1 glycerol, then we say triglycerides. Triglycerides. So lipids made of just one glycerol and 3 fatty acids is triglycerides. Then 71. Organic molecules which are used for energy, insulation and protection, part of cell walls, and constitute some hormones. Which kind of organic molecule is that one? You refer to them as lipids. Okay, so lipids are organic molecules which are used for energy, which are used for insulation and protection. They are part of cell walls like the phospholipids, and they constitute some hormones like the steroids. Okay, the steroids, the androgen, and then the estrogen and the testosterone. The estrogen and the testosterone are hormones, and they are steroids, and they are lipids. Now 72. Lipids which tend to be solid at room temperature and include animal fat, butter, meat, like meat fat, okay, milk, cheese, eggs, coconut, and palm oil. What kind of lipids are that? Okay, we will say they are saturated fat. They are saturated fat. So they are solid at room temperature. They include animal fat, butter, meat fat, milk, cheese, eggs, coconut, and palm oil. Now, 73. The base of a nucleotide. Okay, the base of a nucleotide with a double ring, such as the adenine and guanine. Okay, so the adenine and guanine, they are the purine nucleotides. So we say purine nucleotides. purine nucleotides. Purine nucleotides. Now, there's another one which is also useful. Let's talk about that. Question 74. It says the base of a nucleotide. So this question is supposed to be like something like this. So the base of a nucleotide with a single ring, such as thymine, cytosine, and uracil. So thymine, cytosine, and uracil, you know them to be pyri or pyrimidine. So pyrimidines or pyrimidines or the pyrimidines is going to say the pyrimidines. In other words, the pyrimidines have single ring, whilst the purines have double ring. Now, the question number 75 says, organic molecules whose pentose sugar is deoxyribose, its bases include adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine, and is double-stranded. What is that one? Okay, what is that one? Number 75. You will say DNA, all right, and then you have in probably a bracket deoxyribonucleic acid. Okay, so I didn't spell the oxy well. Deoxyribonucleic acid. Deoxyribonucleic acid. Then the number 76, organic molecule whose sugar is ribose. Okay, bases include adenine, uracil, cytosine, and guanine, and a single-stranded. So that one you call it RNA, and then you have probably in brackets ribonucleic acid. Ribonucleic acid. Ribonucleic acid, RNA. Now, a molecule which has a phosphate sugar and a nitrogen containing base, nitrogenous base. So a molecule which has a phosphate sugar and a nitrogen containing base. How will you refer to such a thing? I think you will say it is a nucleotide. So the nucleotide has three components: a phosphate, a sugar, which is a pentose sugar, and a nitrogenous base or nitrogen containing base. Now, we have some questions here. We are supposed to match. All right, so match the concept in column B, this one, which is number 70. Oh, okay, so 78, all right, to 82 with theories in column A. Okay, the theories in column A. Now, the 78 is saying that all living organisms are composed of cells. The cell is the basic unit of life, and new cells only come from pre-existing cell. What kind of theory is this concept portraying? Yes, this one is portraying this one. So probably let's go and borrow shape from, actually, a rule from here. All right, so this one will match this one to this or with this. All right. So 78 will match it with this. The cell theory. The cell theory. Now, What about the second one, 79? The internal environment of an organism stays relatively constant within a range which is protective of life. Okay, the internal environment of an organism stays relatively constant within a range which is protective of life. What kind of theory is this one? The internal environment. We'll go and borrow an arrow or a shape from here, and then we'll match the 79 with homeostasis. 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 Then the 80 says living things contain coded information which dictates their form, function, and behavior. So the 80, what will we match it with? This one is the gene theory. The gene theory. The gene theory. So we can come and pick this one, and then we'll try and give it to this. This. So the 80 will match it with this. The gene theory states that living things contain coded information which dictate their form, function, and behavior. The gene theory. Now, living organisms are members of populations which interact with each other and the physical environment within a particular locale. Right? So, what kind of theory is this one portraying? Let's give it the ecosystem theory. The ecological system theory, ecosystem theory. So match this one with this. And then the last one, all living things have a common ancestor, but each is adapted to a particular way of life. So this one will refer to it as the evolution theory. Evolution, theory of evolution, evolution theory. All right. So it means that the cell theory states that all living organisms are composed of cells. The cell is the basic unit of life, and new cells only come from pre-existing cells. Then ecosystem theory states that living organisms are members of populations which interact with each other and the physical environment within a particular locale. Then evolution theory states that all living things have a common ancestor, but each is adapted to a particular way of life. Then the gene theory states that living things contain coded information which dictates their form, function, and behavior. Then the last one, homeostasis. That theory states that the internal environment of an organism stays relatively constant within a range which is protective of life. This truly brings us to the end, the very end of our exploration of the 82 questions that we talked about earlier. And it's a beautiful thing that we have done. May God bless you and keep you. Bye-bye.